Here for the man himself. Hello, Les. How are you?
I'm great, and so are you. I'm just so motivated and hungry after listening to you. I mean, you got the butter from the duck today, okay?
Well, thank you very much. It's so great to have you.
Yes, yes. Hello, Adora. What would you have me to do? I'm here to serve you, please.
Well, Les, I think that knowing our audience, we have, entrepreneurs that are really looking to lead powerfully through uncertain times. They're looking to scale their business. And you're the master of grit, of inspiration, of what it takes to really be extraordinary. So when you think about those entrepreneurs and you think about what's going on right now in the world, what advice do you have, or what word of encouragement do you have to
How
share
much
with
time
us?
do I have to do this?
We have you for an hour, 45 minutes, an hour.
I don't need an hour. I'm gonna be
Okay.
considerate of
Okay.
everybody else. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you and everybody that's listening for participating in this. And what we know is this is a different place. We're in a different world now, unlike anything I've ever seen in my 78 years on the planet. And so when you are involved in a process where there has been radical change, you have to engage in a radical transformation of yourself to accommodate what has gone down. We're living in a time where, excuse me, I can hear you all back here. We're living in a time where just feeling safe is a major issue. I was talking to one of my daughters who's teaching, and she said, "Daddy, I've got to get off the phone." And I said, "What's happening? What's going on?" And she said, "We got a fire drill." I said, "No, excuse me." She said, "We got a drill." And I asked her, "Is it a fire drill?" She said, "No." I said, "What kind of drill is it?" She said, "In the event a shooter comes into the school." Now, when I was in school, we had fire drills. Now, kids have drills where to hide in a closet, under a desk, behind a door, in the event a shooter is in the school. Studies have come out now that mental wellness is major with kids. When you're sitting in a room and you've gone through metal detectors and you having drills and you've read about kids being killed in schools, private schools, public schools, that's a different kind of mindset. How do you create an atmosphere where our children can feel safe, or adults feeling safe if you go to the bank, if you go to a large event, if you go to church? It seems like there's nothing that allow us to feel safe and let our guards down. So this is a different space. So let me share with you what I consider this very important: how to make it against all odds. And I say, you got to be hungry. And what I mean by that, being hungry and making it against all odds, is that what we know is, and what I've come to know looking at and reflecting on my life, and I'm in this space, it was Bishop T.D. Jakes, he says, there's no success without successors. So I'm in this space teaching and training others how to do what I've done to achieve a national and global impact. So I want you to take some notes, please. Number one, is something that Erik said: commit yourself. Commit first to decide that you're going to live a life that's going to outlive you, and hold that vision. That's going to be very important, because that vision, which comes before commitment, the vision comes before commitment, in my opinion, Erik, okay? And the reason is that you got to have something to commit to. You got to have something that you got to give God something to work with. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts should be established. Thy thoughts should be established. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. I had this vision that I wanted to buy my mother a home. I had this vision that I wanted to provide for my adopted mother. I'm adopted, and after this, you can look at Les Brown's 2021 surprise. I connected with my birth family. I just found out at age 77, I saw a picture of my birth mother and father, who's, they have passed, and met two brothers that I didn't know I had. And they said to me, it's interesting. They said, you never saw our mother, and you're just like her. And your book, when we found out that you are our brother, you got a book entitled You Gotta Be Hungry, How to Make It Against All Odds. And our grandmother, she lived on this farm, this plantation, and she was a sharecropper. And he said that, wow, man, they said she was hungry to learn, hungry to learn. And this is where we are right now, because things have changed. And the people that are going to become successful, the people that are going to thrive, the people that are going to live life victoriously rather than as victims are people that are willing to do what Peter Drucker said, that we must be willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. So that's major. So when you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, it's very important for you to begin to make the determination, who am I supposed to be and what is it I need to do in order to accomplish the things that I need to accomplish. Now, Adora, is it that the reason I'm seeing your face, is there something you want to say to me to interrupt me right now?
No. I actually want you to tell us what it felt like learning that about your birth mother. What was that like? I mean, that's a huge experience.
It was shocking because I never did a search for my birth mother or father, because my adopted mother always said, whenever I would open a presentation, that all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So, but I did at different times wonder, what did my father do? What kind of guy was he? What did he look like? And what kind of work was he involved in? And I wondered about my birth mother. Well, come to find out, my father, he was just a regular dude. he was one of 8 children. He was the baby, and he just did nothing. Papa was a rolling stone. Where he laid his head was his home. Okay. But my birth mother, Dorothy Bell Rucker, she was a motivational speaker, and she was a teacher. And she and my grandmother, Beulah Rucker, who was a motivational speaker, she taught herself to read from the newspaper that was used to insulate the cabin where she lived. And she taught herself to read. As I said earlier, she was hungry to learn, because during the time when they came along, Black people couldn't go to school in Gainesville, Georgia. There were no schools for them to go to. So she had to leave Gainesville to go to Savannah, Georgia, where there was a school where colored people could go at that time. And she had no money, but she told her mother and father, and this is something I love, and I live my life this way. She told her mother and father, I'm going to school in Savannah. I've saved money from picking cotton and milking pigs, cows, and slaughtering pigs and killing chickens and cooking. And she saved her little money, just enough to get transportation to go to Savannah State College. She got there and she got in line. And because my great grandmother and father didn't have money for her to go to this school. And so when it came time for her to see the head of the school, the gentleman asked, where's your money to register? And she said, she held her hands out, these hands can work. and looked
Mm.
at him. And he said, get out of line. And then other people came up and registered, and she got back in line again and said, these hands can work. And I read where they said that must have been something in her eyes, something in her energy, some look of determination that she had that she would not be denied. And he said, okay. And he allowed her to be enrolled, and he allowed her to work for him and the other professors at the school. And she milked the cows, and she cleaned their homes, and she got up early to help their children go to school. And she was a determined person, and she graduated with honors from Savannah State College. And my grandmother, Beulah Rucker, they have the Beulah Rucker Museum in Gainesville, Georgia. And I was shocked to find out that she was a motivational speaker, and she had a
What?
relationship with Eleanor Roosevelt. So,
What?
and traveled around and spoke with Eleanor Roosevelt and also Mary McLeod Bethune. This kind of stuff you can't make up. But I got to tell you this, Adora, this is, I want to say to everybody, whatever you want to do, not only is it important for you to hold a vision, and don't stop yourself by asking the question about how am I going to do it. I think Erik is right. Commit first. When you make the commitment, the how will come, the resources, the people, everything you need in order to make it happen will begin to show up, because you're giving God something to work with when you make the commitment. And so she made a commitment that she was going to go, and she stood in line and got back in line again after she was told to get out of line, and she showed back up again. And this gentleman said, okay. And I believe that the universe will dispatch angels for the people who are willing to commit first to get the things that they want out of life, to walk by faith and not by sight, to judge not according to appearances, and to go forward, to leap and grow your wings on the way down. That's very important, particularly now. Why? It's because of the fact that there's so many distractions. Life be lifing. Things going to happen to you. Things are going to happen to people that you care about. But the people that are willing to commit themselves to be disciplined, to commit themselves to stay focused, to commit themselves to keep the main thing, they're going to be successful. To commit themselves to learning, to have a ritual, to continue to reinvent themselves, to elevate their thinking and elevate their relationships, and also elevate the goals that they set for themselves. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone that you've never been. And so this is a very challenging time. It's the worst of times and the best of times. We are in a crisis, and crises in the Chinese language means danger, but it also means opportunity. Ask me something else, please.
Yes, and I know Erik is probably, he just wrote a book, Commit First. But, you always talk about greatness is within you, and how confirming and affirming it must have been to see how your mother and grandmother were leading their lives, and that part of you was in you. I mean, you always knew it, say it, but I'm still just blown away with that whole scenario.
But I believe it's in all of us, because my two brothers that I did not know about, George and Rudy, they watched our mother. They traveled with her, and they assisted her. And they said when they met me, we don't understand. You never met her. And you speak, your mannerisms, how you tell a story. When you speak, your energy, your passion, we are amazed how the things that you do that she did, and you were never around her. And the difference between me and them, and I believe that all of us have greatness in us, is what Erik talked about. The majority of people, 95%, are not willing to commit themselves to do the things that they that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. They were not willing to put in the time and the effort to invest in themselves, to develop their skill set, to expand their vision, to reach beyond their comfort zone. Because in order to do something you've never done, you got to become someone you've never been. So most people are not living a committed life. And most people say, I'll try. I always say, try and sit down. And you want to know the difference between trying and commitment. The next time you have bacon and eggs, look at it. The chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. He had to give it all up. And so what Erik is talking about, if you're going to make your dream come true, you're going to have to give it all up, because the system, the culture is stacked against you. You have to make it against all odds. And you got to be hungry. And people that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry know you will fail your way to success. People that are hungry are relentless and unstoppable. And that's the challenge, because it's the opportunity. Because when you operate beyond your comfort zone, which Brian Tracy calls the danger zone, you get to meet a person in you that you don't know right now. I'm not a religious person. Religious people are afraid of going to hell. Spiritual people have been there. And hell to me is what you experience when you die and you meet the person that you were supposed to become. That's what I think about when I leave the planet. Did I live full? Did I die empty? Did I enrich the cemetery with my voice, with my story, with my talents, with my ideas, with my abilities? Most people, 95% of people, go to their graves dying a life they have never lived. And I think it was Earl Nightingale said, every 100 people that you see, starting out at age 25, by the time they reach 65, 1 will be rich, 4 will be well-to-do, 5 will still be working, 36 will be dead, and 54% will be dependent upon welfare, family and friends, or some social agency to provide for them the bare necessities of life, of food, shelter, and clothing. And that 5%, those are the individuals who said, no, there is more in me. You know, in Lion King, Simba, you're more than that which you have become. The people that are listening to you right now in this community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships, they have said to themselves, I know there's more in me. I know that I can do better than this. They've said, as they looked at their lives, looked at their circumstances, looked at what they have produced, and they've said to themselves, I've had it. I've had it living in a relationship where we're dying together rather than living together. I've had it being on a job where they're paying me just enough to keep me from quitting, and I work just hard enough from being fired. I've had it of living a small life. I'm a masterpiece because I was chosen by the master. I was deployed to be here to do something great with my life, and I'm living a small life. No, I'm not going out like this.
I would love to know, because we have obviously a lot of entrepreneurs that are at different points in their journey. What would you tell your 20 or 30-year-old self, knowing what you know now? What would be your advice to Les Brown years ago that you would give to that young soul?
Don't pay any attention to what people tell you that you can't do. And most importantly, don't pay any attention to yourself. Sometimes you got to tell yourself to shut up. And what I mean by that, if people Google and say Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, my mind said to me when I looked out and saw the size of the crowd, I've never spoken before 80,000 people. I can't do this. And I had to say to myself, shut up. I panicked. I was afraid. I ran and I locked myself in the bathroom, and they had to call my mentor, Mike Williams. And he said, Brownie, come out. They're stalling. They're waiting for you to give this speech. It's not over till you win. And you're acting like a loser. I said, man, Mike, I can't hear the voices. He said, come out. Once you get the microphone and get on the stage, you will hear the voices you've always heard. And I got quiet. He said, Brownie, can you hear me? I said, yes. He said, you're scared, aren't you? I said, yes. I said, my mind is telling me you can't do this, and I don't want to go out there and freeze and embarrass myself before 80,000 people. He said, Brownie. I said, yes. He said, do it for your mother. I said, man, don't use my mother on me. He said, Brownie, let's imagine what she's going to say. Look at my boy. Look at Leslie speaking in a stadium. Who would have thought? I said, oh, man. He said, come out, Brownie, come out. And I came out the bathroom. And then I asked him, I said, Mike, do you think I can do this? And he looked at me and said, yes. And Adora, it's very important to have someone in your life that will believe in you until your belief kicks in. When he looked at me and said, you got this, Brownie. You were born for this, Brownie. You got this. They came to see you. You didn't come to see them. This is why Dexter Yeager picked you. He could have picked Tony Robbins. He could have picked Jim Rohn, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, but he picked you. He heard the story about how you became a disc jockey and that you got to be hungry. He doesn't even like you. And he picked you because he said that you speak from your heart and you can teach people how to get from the bottom to the top because you've been there. And when he spoke to my heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. And as a result, he inspired me. And anybody that's listening right now, your ability to communicate with people, one-on-one, small groups or large groups is very important. And what he did, I want you to write this down, distract, dispute, and inspire. He distracted me from my fear thoughts of, I can't do this. I've never done this before. And through him talking to me and saying, you got this, he dismantled my current belief about myself, how we live our lives as a result of the story we believe about ourselves. When I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educable mental retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade and failed again when I was in the 8th grade at Booker T. Washington High School in poor section of Miami, Florida. And this man, Mr. Leroy Washington, when I met him when I was in the 11th grade, very much like Erik, he said, young man, I want you to go to the front of the room and work on this problem I've got here. And I said, sir, I can't do this. I'm not one of your students. I'm here to see MacArthur Stevens. He said, do what I'm asking you to do anyhow. I said, I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. And he asked, what's DT? He's the dumb twin. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Do you hear me? I said, yes, sir. He distracted me from what I believed about myself. I remember Mama saying, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. But they do hurt, and very deeply. But he distracted me. And through how he presented himself to me and spoke to me, he dismantled my current belief system and inspired me to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in my life. And now that which I was terrified to do, now I've spoken around the world and teaching others how to use their knowledge, their skills, their voice, their story, things they're passionate about to create a national and global impact by creating an experience with an audience that will take them to a place in themselves that they can't go by themselves. This is a time that you have to make yourself stand out. When I came in the speaking area, the majority of speakers were going around and still to this day giving information from the book Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic book, is great. But information, if information could change people, and you can Google information now, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. So what I'm doing now is teaching people how to do exactly what you're doing now, how you are getting people together in the community to take them to a place in themselves so they can't go by themselves. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it could never be satisfied to go back to where it was. So people who are now aligned here watching this with all the various presenters, what it's going to do is give them a vision of themselves beyond their mental conditioning, beyond their circumstances, beyond the things that they have experienced, that they have gone through, and allow them to release what Elizabeth Browning would say, the imprisoned splendor, and begin to get out of their head and step into their greatness. Because we all have greatness in us, but the majority of people will not put in the time and the effort to cultivate and to ignite that greatness by becoming a risk taker. This, God said, if you're not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? This is a time where you have to leap and grow your wings on the way down. This is a time that you have to bet on you. There is no such thing as job security. The 40-40 plan is gone, where you can go to college and get thousands of dollars in debt and expect to get a job and work for 40 years. That program is gone. This is a new space. We have technology now that will replace over 300 million jobs. Whoa. They got robots now holding conversations with people. One guy married a robot. I said, oh, give me a break. Are you kidding me? This is a different space. I live in Atlanta. A guy goes in and orders a Subway. Young girl been on the job for 3 weeks. And she brings the Subway sandwich. He looks at it, takes a gun out and shoots and kill her and shoot another employee. They ask, why did you kill her? Did she give you pushback when you tried to rob the place? He said, no. They asked, why? He said, she put too much mayonnaise on my sandwich. Are you serious? Come on. This is a different place. People, because of the climate that we're in, because of the uncertainty, because of the disruptions, because of the chaos, people are having collective meltdowns. And those of you that's on this call, you got a voice. Some people are going to hear me, some people that's going to hear Erik, some people's going to hear Adora, but there's some people that's a part of your tribe that will hear you. I want to know, how did you get across the Red Seas of your life? How did you slay the giants in your life? What did you do? And when you share that, that will give them hope. And when there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. And they will say to themselves, their self-explanatory style, if he can do it, if she can do it, I can do it. Ask me something. I'm ready for you today.
So I know we're going to get to deep dive on this some more in Atlanta, but you move people into action. You activate them. And I know you train speakers how to move and activate the people in their lives. How important and what tips do you have for that same ability to activate in our own ways, but in our teams and our families and our organizations? When things are tough, it's often about moving your family forward, your whole business. It's not just moving yourself forward, and you're not always given the stage by those people. So, how important, and any tips you have?
It's very important to look out and take care of you. Iana Vantan said, and I believe this very strongly, give to yourself until your cup runneth over, and then give to others from the overflow. When I talk to you about perseverance, about overcoming the odds, I received last year the Cancer Center's Award of Perseverance. I am a 39-year fourth stage cancer conqueror. I don't call myself a survivor, a conqueror. And I'll never forget my oncologist, Dr. Alfred Golson. He was a very interesting guy, and had a great sense of humor. He said, Mr. Brown, I got some bad news for you. And I said, what is it, sir? He said, you have prostate cancer. I said, Now keep in mind, cancer, those words, you have cancer, they're the most feared words in 7 different languages. And I asked, is there anything else? He said, your PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen, is 2,400. And I asked him, is there anything else? Yes, 1 to 4 is normal. Yours is 2,400. I heard that. What else is there, sir? He said, it's metastasized to 7 areas of your body. I said, whoa. He said, did you hear me? I said, yeah. Why are you smiling? I said, man, 7 is my lucky number. I was born February the 17th. I'm one of 7 children. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. 7 is my lucky number. I said, is there anything else? He said, yes. I said, what is it? He said, and you're ugly too. I said, man, come on. You didn't just call me ugly? Yes. But I don't tell my patients they're terminally ill. What I say is that my knowledge, my ability, my skill set has terminated. I determine the diagnosis. And keep in mind, a diagnosis is not a verdict. You and God determine the prognosis. Whoa. And I knew I had a fight on my hands. And I was up for it. I was ready for it. I said, I got too much to do. I ain't got time to die right now. I know we go all go, but not now. I remember when my mother died, my adopted mother, and after I went home and I had a dream about her that night, she said, baby, she came to me in a dream, you said you missed me. Now it look like you're going to see me real soon. I woke up, I said, Mama, I don't want to see you real soon. I want to see you bye. No, I ain't ready to see you now. And so it was Marion White who said, in this thing called life, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you. I was living a life, Adora, that wasn't me, and I knew it in my heart. And I didn't have the courage at that time to bet on me, to believe that I can be who I am now. Mike did. And as I said, it's very important for you to have somebody in your life that can take you to a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. And because of that jarring experience, it became a defining moment. You know, I remember when I was married to Gladys Knight and I was seated across from Frank Sinatra, and I heard him say to a young man, live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. And from that day to now, I maximize my time milking and getting everything that I can out of the day. Most people get up and they just put enough energy in to get through the day. I'm encouraging the people that are listening to me now, Get an agenda for your life, because if you don't have an agenda for your life, you're part of somebody else's agenda. And decide what is it you want to get out of the day so that you can maximize the life that you're living, so that you will live a life that will outlive you, so that you will live a life of impact, so that you will live a life of no regrets, so that you can rob the cemetery of your talents, of your abilities, of your skills, of your ideas, and to do what Dr. Miles Monroe said, live full and die empty. Don't come for me. I didn't call an Uber. Don't come for me.
So good. We could listen to you all day. It's amazing that you can come on and inspire us. And at one point, I'm in the the back here, crying my eyes out, hearing what you're saying. Thank you so much. Yes, Stephanie, so good. I would love to know, what is the greatest, you have provided so much value in the lives of millions and millions of people. What's the gift that you get? Like, what's the thing that lights you up about that? Thinking of the millions of people and the lives that they've impacted. What does that feel like for you? And what has that done for you?
Erik, you and I are cut from the same cloth, and we have branches of the same tree. And here's what you know and what I know, and the people that are watching us now. When you provide hope, love, and inspiration, it's like a perfume. You can't sprinkle it on others without getting a few drops on yourself. That when I speak, and I was telling my staff the other day, they said, why are you working the way that you're working? I said, I don't know how much time I have left. And so my goal is to live out loud, to make a greater impact, and to do something that one Russian author said. He said, as I face inevitable death, what are the meaning and purpose of my life that will not be undone or destroyed when I'm gone? And I think that all of us should stop at different points and reflect on, what is it that you want out of life? What is it, your ideal life? And to me, it's about live your life the way that you want to leave your life. I was in an audience and a guy asked a question. If you had 6 months to live, what would you change about your life? And the majority of people in there said, I would leave my job. And I was among them. And then he said something else. And it reminded me of a movie that Denzel Washington was in. He said, there are moments in life, there's before this and there's after this, and after this, nothing will ever be the same again. He said, as far as you know, this is your last day of life. It could be. Whoa. And I thought about that. And I decided I was going to put my energy and efforts into living my life the way that I want to live my life. I told my children, if they tell you that I have died, sneak into the morgue and put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone now. Because I'm going to leave here speaking and motivating or training speakers, because that's the calling on my life. A job is what you get paid for. A calling is what you're made for. You were made for that book that you have written. Commit first. That came to you. You had a download that saying, if you want to make it in life, commit first. Don't try and figure it out first, because now you're operating out of being logical and practical and realistic. And there are things that you can do that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. Commit first. You got to take a chance on you first, and then figure the rest of the stuff out. That's why you wrote that book. You had to write that book. You were born and preserved for such a time as this. Don't come for me. I did not call an Uber. Don't come for me.
Wow. Thank you.
Behave.
That is absolutely amazing. I feel we have one of our contributors that's going to be speaking in about an hour, Stephanie Dove Blake. I'm going to add her to the stream to have her ask a question because I can see her. She is on fire. She's listening to this, and I know she has a question. Stephanie, I hope that's okay to put you on the spot here.
Absolutely. I'm just glad my hair was finished. Oh my gosh, Les, you're incredible. And as far as this leaving a legacy piece, I'm just so curious because my main thing is entrepreneurs making sure that they don't build this beautiful, awesome empire online and then lose the kingdom at home. Right. And so I was wondering if you have any wisdom or advice for everybody who's listening that while you're doing all these things and you're experiencing success or you're driven and your ambition and you're trying to go after these things, how do we make sure, or how have you made sure, or seen people be successful at making sure that we don't leave your family behind in the dust, right?
That is a very good question. And people talk about balance. I don't think you can have balance when you're an entrepreneur. You have to integrate time for you and time for your family in the process of pursuing your goals because it requires sacrifice. I remember a lady out of Detroit, Martha Jean the Queen, and she would ask the question, do you really want to win? One of the best moments of my life, a reporter asked me, what's the most rewarding experience you've had in speaking? Was it speaking in the Georgia Dome before 80,000 people? I said, no. Was it finding your birth parents where they were born and raised? No. What was the most rewarding? When my kids said, Dad, for a long time, we were angry with you. We did not know why you missed these special occasions where we wanted you to be there, to stand up and applaud and say, that's my son or that's my daughter. We were angry with you, but now we know. You're graduating from college. We have no college loans. We go out places and they say, you're Les Brown's daughter? You're Les Brown's son? That you have a reputation for changing people's lives. And now we have dreams and goals that we want to achieve. Now we know that in order to do it, it's going to be some sacrifice. And now we understand. But at the time, we were too young to understand. But now, at this stage of their lives, they understand. And when you have something that you are called to do, you have what I call the can't helps it. You know, people who should be there to encourage you and motivate you and inspire you, many times they won't raise a finger to help you. I heard something that said that when you die, there are people who will fly cross country or drive thousands of miles to come to your funeral to support you and say, I knew her, but wouldn't raise a finger to help you to live your dream, to help you to live a life that will stand out because you decided, I don't want to fit in. I want to stand out by living a life of contribution. The greatest among you will be your servant. And so it's very important that you be aware of the fact that you got to ask yourself the question, who am I? What do I want? What am I willing to sacrifice? Who's going with me? Who should I count on? And who should I count out? Because I wanted to be in a position, my oldest daughter, she slipped 3 weeks ago, dislocated her shoulder, broke her arm, and fractured her ankle. And I'm glad at 78, I could do more than just pray for her. I'm glad that I could say, I got you, baby. Don't worry about your bills. I got you. I will have a team of people working with you until your recovery so that you can get back to your speaking and your coaching. But don't worry about it. Daddy's got your back. But if I had not made this sacrifice, all I would have been able to say, the Lord will bless you, honey. Oh my goodness. this thing called life. You can't make this stuff up.
I thank you, Stephanie. That was amazing. And thank you, Les,
Yeah.
for that. We only have about 10 minutes left, but I want to know, and you are known obviously for for being hungry consistently. And I wish I could say it as good as you can say it, but how it's sometimes when we have a calling or we have an idea, it's easy to be hungry in the beginning. How in the world do you stay hungry for 50 years, let alone 5 days or 5 months?
52 years. Don't cut it short.
Wow. Wow.
Because it's who I am. You want to do, Eric, what's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. You want to find something that you love it so much that you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. I gave hundreds of speeches before I ever got paid, and no one could have told me, or the people that knew me when I was working for the Miami Sanitation Department in Miami. I didn't say I was a garbage collector. I said I was a sanitary technician. I had game for the ladies. Oh, behave. No one could have believed that this guy, the dumb twin, DT, the dumb twin, who was labeled educable mentally retarded and failed twice in school, it would have never, including me, predicted that I would train 3,500 doctors around the world on how to communicate with their patients to increase their taking of their hypertension medication for a major pharmaceutical company and earn $640,000 in 1 month. And I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon everybody that's listening, that what I've done, what you've done, the people that are watching us, if they did not know in their heart of hearts that they can do what we've done and even more, they would be going on listening to somebody arguing about who's the GOAT, about a basketball game that they can't even afford tickets to. Okay? They would be moving on someplace else. That when you think about something Henry David Thoreau said, do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail. Robert Frost, A Road Not Taken. That I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And you are teaching people, and Adora has committed people to live a life not focused on making money, but making a difference. Living a life of contribution, being a voice for the voiceless, living a life that matters. That's a stand that you've decided to take with your life. In this world where we are, there people are programmed to be fans, programmed to be engaged in entertainment and turning a deaf ear to people that are victims of human trafficking. There's a quote that I love, that evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. I promoted a speech that I put online that people can Google, and the title of it is, "We have the power to create peace." We have the power to create peace. That's on YouTube. I believe that with everything in me. But we've got to be willing to go all out. Bob Marley was in a fight right before a concert, and he was wounded. And he performed. And a reporter asked him, "You're Bob Marley. You could have easily taken tonight off. Why did you not take the night off?" And he said, "People that do evil in the world don't take a night off. Why should I?" Whoa. And so I believe that you've decided, commit first because of your experience, because there are moments in your life you decided to figure it out first, and that didn't work for you. But once you made the commitment that you're going to do it, you found a way, you figured it out. And because of that experience, Now you're sharing it. You're sharing with people your story. There are people listening to us now, and they don't realize that story they're sitting on, somebody is waiting on. But you decided, I'm going to talk to people about, no. Don't go to your mind, because we've been programmed to be logical, practical, and realistic. No, live out of your imagination. Einstein said the imagination is the preview of what's to come. Call forth those things that be not as though they were. Commit first. Don't come for me. I did not call her Uber. No.
Amazing. Wow. Well, we just have a few minutes left. I would love any final thoughts that you have for this audience. Again, we could spend all day. This is so much gold. I'm so happy this is recorded so I can watch it back again and again. Just so powerful, the words you were speaking. But I would love to, any golden nuggets or anything you'd like to leave with the audience before we wrap up here at the top of the hour.
I'd like to say to the people that are listening, first of all, thank you. And develop a ritual. When I first get up in the morning, I believe every day is a good day. If you don't believe it, try missing one. All things work together for good for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. Every day won't be a good day, but there's some good in every day. So I write down things that I'm grateful for. I write down 7 things I want to get out of the day. And I repeat this affirmation to myself. Lord, whatever I face today, you and I can handle it. Because life is coming for all of us. Sickness, disease, accidents, tragedies is coming for you, coming for me, coming for our family, coming for people that we care about. And what we must stand on, he'll never leave us nor forsake us. What we must stand on, we were born and preserved for such a time as this. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bye for now.
Well, Les, the green room is going wild, and you are such a phenomenal, powerful, fierce light on this planet. And you do such a good job of activating the highest calling, God's calling, that design inside of people. And I am so grateful. I'm super grateful that some of us will be seeing you live in Atlanta. And I know that you're a stand for the mental health of people, of our children, and for the safety of all children. And I know that event is your gift to the shelter in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so those of you watching, you'll hear about that offer later. There's a special invitation. Les, your being here one more day on the planet is going to ripple and ripple, because the people on this event lead organizations, they lead people, they lead, and I know every life matters, but these are the kind of people that have taken on responsibilities to elevate the planet very intentionally. So thank you so much for your contribution.
I thank you, and I want to thank you and Erik, because I am who I am because of people like you. My adopted mother, she only had a 3rd grade education, but she was unstoppable. She never had any children herself, but she wanted to raise some children, and she adopted 7 kids, single woman raising 7 kids. And I was the most troubled one. But when people would say, Mamie, you need to take it back to the welfare department, she said, you'll be all right, because I'll whoop his behind till it roke like okra. I'll knock you in the middle of next week. I say, please don't, Mama. But she was an incredible woman, and she inspired me to become the man that I am now. People say a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. That's a lie. My mother raised me to be a man and to be respectful and honor your life by making a difference. Thank the two of you for who you are and how you're showing up in the work that you're doing. And it's an honor to participate and to support you. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Here's a Les Brown special quote: shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Bye for now.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Les Brown. Let's show the love in the chat for him. Everybody, it's been an honor to have you on, and thank you so much for all that you were done in your life and your contribution. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.